Welcome everyone to episode number 344 of Goulet Q&A, where fountain pens are still a thing. I'm Brian Goulet here at Goulet Pens HQ, and today I'm going to be talking about removing the nib and feed from the Ferris Wheel Press Bijou Lord of the Rings pen, how to top off your Visconti Homo Sapiens vacuum filler, writing on stone paper, why we don't offer every nib size of every option of the pens, and this is going to be, instead of spotlighting any particular pen, I had too many that I wanted to show you this week. So I'm just going to go do kind of like an extended showcase of the new stuff that we have, because I realized that every single pen that is new for this week, I am actually keeping one. So I'm going to show you, all of them. It'll be fun. And then I'm going to be off next week for Thanksgiving. So we've really got to make this episode count, okay? It's because it's got to hold you over for 2 weeks. Let's get into it and start it off with feedback. All right, got a lot of feedback. A lot of feedback about inky fingers last week, which is great. Got some really good advice. I wanted to share some of it with you here, but definitely go back and check episode 333 if you want to know how to get ink off your hands. Okay, so Kate Heron says, best thing that I've found for taking ink off my fingers is Amodex. I briefly mentioned that at the end. Works great. It's sold as a laundry stain remover, but it's safe for your skin. Also works great to take ink out of clothing and even Sharpie. Well, there you go. Juicy Louise says, I buy and repair vintage pens. I use Amodex. The trick is to rub it well into dry hands before rinsing off. Well, there you go. A couple of people saying Amodex works really well. I need to get some. You can literally find it almost anywhere. I've never tried it. I just need to do it. Okay. MJ Melwicki says, good quality hand lotion works as a layer of protection, especially for winter chapped hands. Well, that's good. I never really thought about that. My hands are often chapped in the wintertime, but I don't like greasy fingers. So I probably would use lotion more, but I just don't like my fingers feeling greasy. Anyway, this is my weird thing. Okay. Also, MJ says, when you run out of items to show from the background, which I'm doing now at the end, how about showing some older pens or collections like you just did with these sweater pens? I featured the Retro 51 sweater pens that we did, the new Festive Fawns, as well as previous editions that we did. That's a cool idea. At this point, I have a lot of collections of pens, of things that are older that you can't find anymore. So usually when there's something new as part of a collection or a special edition, I will use that as an opportunity to pull out my cool old stuff, just as a weird flex. So that's a great idea. Thanks for the great podcast every week, Mary Jo B. You're very welcome, Mary Jo. All right, Stacy Wright says, I use a microfiber cloth and water, going back to cleaning ink off your hands. It's been effective if you're getting any ink off my fingers, hands, countertops, sink, etc. That's cool. So it's more of a mechanical cleaning than a chemical cleaning. Microfiber cloth. So I use one of these microfiber cloths, and it's bright green so I can find it easily. I use one of these cloths for wiping off my pens, actually. Also works well on like computer monitors and stuff. So just a dry cloth, because it's kind of grabby, like the fibers are kind of grabby. I could see that working well for cleaning off your ink off your hands. I'll have to try that. I've never actually tried like wetting it and using it like that. Great suggestion. So cool. All right. Bellona27 says, can definitely say OxyClean will save your surfaces from ink. Had an incident or 12 while trying to fill a TWSBI VAC 700R that involved the chair that I was sitting on and all my clothes, and it even got weak old stains off of my desk mat. I worked on my fingers too, but I can say Emerald of Chivor stained my fingernails for a long time, so be aware of that one. Maybe you need to throw some Amodex on it. Maybe that would do the trick. Well, that's a great idea. And you weren't the only one to mention sodium bicarbonate, which is OxyClean. So very cool. And then got some feedback on feed fins, because I talked about that as well. Osiris Golad says, the other major advantage of external fins, talking about feed fins where you can see them a lot on pens, is that if the air pressure changes, the space between the fins will catch most, if not all, of the ink that is burped out of the filling system instead of letting it dribble into your cap. However, if it's a plastic feed that is bone dry, like when you install a cartridge instead of filling through the feed, or an ebonite feed that has not had ink in it for more than a day or two when it's brand new or been thoroughly soaked or clean, The ink will refuse to go in between the fins and go straight out of the ink channel and leak out from under the wings of the nib instead. It's essentially a two-way buffer that can supply or demand ink as needed up to a certain volume. Yeah, so basically like the ink won't grab appropriately, I guess, as easily onto dry feeds, it seems like. So that's interesting. And then last one, ink flow formula. So this is Evan Basnaw says, for your ink mixing friend, I got a bottle of Anderillium ink wetter that I use either 1 drop per converter or 3 drops per 5 milliliter bottle to make my inks nice and wet in any pen. Love a good wet ink. Well, I've never used that before. I don't know what Anderillium ink wetter is, but might have to look that up now. Cool. Great feedback, everybody. Thank you so much for all the engagements. Got good questions, got good feedback. Loving it. Keep it going. I got some new stuff, and I'm going to try something a little different this time. I'm going to try doing more of a new stuff showcase, talking about it and kind of unboxing it and showing it to you, because I realized I wanted to show you everything that I have right now, and I actually have all of them. So I already had the boxes on my desk. I was like, well, let's give it a shot, shall we? So here we go, new stuff. All right, new stuff. First up on the new stuff, I get to talk about something that I normally don't get to talk about, which is a new Lamy CP1. Now, I've not been shy on the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of thin pens. However, lots of people are. Here's the box, nice box. So it's a little bit of an upgrade from your typical like Lamy Safari box. It's kind of cool. It looks nice. This looks so good. Little stuff in there, a little literature, got a cartridge. That's fun. Yeah, so box's presentation is nice. I like how it's a very thin pen, so it's not gonna seat very well in the ribbon there. So I like how they throw a little thing on there to keep the pen in place. Okay, I'm just gonna make a mess. Yeah, so this is a very thin pen. Normally it's available in black, and that's it. That's all you get. They did a platinum version a few years back, and I'm kicking myself because I didn't keep one. And that was before I was collecting like everything Lamy possible. And it was an expensive pen, and I didn't have as much money at the time, so I let it go, and now I will have to get it somehow someday. But anyway, Lamy CP1 Aquamarine. It looks good. It looks good. I like this color. It's not too shiny. It's got a little bit of shine to it. The texture is interesting. It's not like a perfectly glossy texture, if that makes sense. I don't know that gloss is a texture. I think that's more of a shine or whatever, but even still, it's got a little bit of a kind of a bumpy texture to it. I really shouldn't explain it like that, but it's mostly smooth. I'll just say it's mostly smooth with a matte finish. How about that? Yeah, looks good. You can post it. I don't know. A lot of you like this pen. I don't know how to sell it because it's very thin and it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I like having one of everything. So here we go. Am I going to write with this pen? No. Comes with a Z27 converter. I'm used to saying Z28 on everything Lamy, but Z27 on this one. Basically the same converter, except it doesn't have the posts. So yeah, there you go. Takes the same nibs as all the other Lamy pens. This one is $60, so not a bad pen. It's kind of a nice like next level pen if you wanted something like kind of a step up from, you know, Safari or something like that. A lot of people like this because it's a great like check writing pen. Not that anybody's writing checks anymore, really. But it's a great pen for like a purse pen, or great to just have around if you want thinner pens, I guess. It's got a nice spring clip and a stainless steel clip on it. Yeah. It's got decent weight to it. Even though it's a thin pen, it's metal, so it's, you know, feels like it's meant to be there. So yeah, pretty cool. CP1. Don't see one of those every day. That's new. Anyway, next one that I have, let's see. Diplomat Aero Funky. Let's get funky. This is a cool pen. I previewed this one a while ago, like in the spring, back when we had Matthias, the Diplomat CEO here. He showed us the pen, got to play with it a little bit, but all we had was a sample. Check this box out. This is aluminum. Very classy. I don't ever want to throw these out because it's like, it's metal. It's like so durable. Look at this thing. I had to show you this on video because it just looks so crazy. Yeah, it's like a rainbow PVD type of a finish. You know, we've had other pens that have had this, but never on a Diplomat. And this is the first that I can recall. This is a first smooth Diplomat arrow. Normally they're all fluted or have like, you know, carved rings or something like that. But this one is perfectly smooth. It is a fingerprint magnet. Can't get away from that, but it looks really cool. And it's like a color shifty kind of a thing. See, this is where my little cloth would come in really handy. Boom, get those fingerprints right off of there. I feel like I need to wear gloves when I write with this pen. Very cool. So yes, color shifty. It's gonna be hard with the light because I got these bright lights here. But it is like a pink, purpley pink to kind of a greenish blue. And it changes color. It's not reflections. That's just the different angle that you're looking at it. It truly does shift from like a green to a blue amidst the pink and purple. Very cool color. It's got a nice like gunmetal trim as well. I inked mine up. This is not the first time I pulled it out of the box, but it looks really nice. Very cool pen. This is a little bit more than a regular arrow, 236 though, for the crazy finish. That's not too bad. And apparently this finish was really hard to do as well. They use Jowo number 6 nibs, extra fine, fine, medium, and broad, and comes with a converter standard international. So pretty cool. I would check that out. Yeah, it is PVD. Okay, PVD plus niobium. I don't even know what that is, but that's what they say. So it's supposed to be very durable. Yeah, limited quantity. They're only going to make it once because apparently it was a pain. So if you like this fingerprint magnets, then I recommend you pick one up. I wanted to compare it to a couple others because we do have a couple other pens. This is the Laban Skeleton, Rainbow Skeleton, which is a little more, it's got like more of a yellowy green and kind of orange. So that one, a little more vibrant, but not as consistent. Still a really cool looking pen, but the Aero Funky is, you know, it's not way off the mark. It's kind of similar. And then we have the Coeco. What is the name of this one? I didn't look it up. I forget. Something rainbow. But this one, it's not like as color shifty, right? So that's the thing with this one. Like these two, they look these crazy colors, but you can tell like as you turn it, as you turn it, you can be like, oh yeah, this part over here is green, this part over here is like blue, this part here is more purple, which looks really cool. But this one is like that, it's like that color shifting. So as you turn it, it kind of looks the same. And you're like, how does that happen? How is it like blue and green in the middle and pink on the edges, no matter where you're turning it? It's because it's a color shifting as opposed to just a rainbow PVD. So that's kind of neat. First pen I've ever seen that can really do that color shifting thing well. That's the Diplomat. Let's go on to the next one. Next one we have is a Pilot Decimo 20th Anniversary Limited Edition. Now this is, I mean, I don't know, they've probably done other things in Japan, but this is the first Decimo, special Decimo that I'm aware that they've had in the US at least. So it is the Decimo's 20th anniversary. Pilot itself has been around a lot longer than that. Very cool box, very kind of space themed. You know, the name of the pen is just 20th anniversary. So they didn't call it anything, but they went with a space theme, and that will echo on the pen. So it's got like a drawer box here, which is pretty neat. Pull that out. It's got all your paraphernalia in there. You pull up this little thing, and then boom, there's your pen nestled in its own little cutout. Very cool. And I just love how the color, like what packaging, right? Like the color matches the pen, the ombre. That's really cool. It's basically a thinner vanishing point. If you're not familiar with what the Decimo is, uses the same nib setup as a vanishing point. You know, it's a click retractable pen. Normally, you're just getting a plain color, but this one is pretty cool to go with the whole space theme. Try and get you a little bit of a close up here. Not only do you have an ombre, but you got these like stars on here as well. So this is like handwork done on here. You know, they kind of sprinkle on different things. Yeah, very cool. This is going to be many, many layers that they had to do in order to make this happen. I don't know what type of finish this is. I don't know if this is urushi. I don't know if this is paint. I don't think it's urushi. I believe it is paint of some kind, or like a lacquer, but like a non-urushi lacquer. I'm not sure. They're scant on the details of how they actually made this thing, but it does look very artistic. And, you know, I can imagine based on the way they did this, each pen is going to be a little bit different. You know, your star pattern is going to look slightly different on each pen, which is pretty cool. So very neat pen. They are limited editions, but they're not numbered on the pen. So that's, you know, something they normally do with limited edition vanishing points. But I don't know, the center band is like so thin on here. Maybe it was just, maybe they couldn't fit it on there. But yeah, there you go. This one, I have a fine nib on here. I think that fine is the only nib size that they're making this available in, but you can easily swap out the unit with any vanishing point nib unit that you want, because it's standard. So the only thing about this pen is the price. It is definitely at a premium at $580, which is way more than a regular Decimo. And you'll probably be like, you know what? I like the pen up until you said that. Because it is up there. And it's just, I don't know why it is so much more. I imagine because of the nature of the hand painting on there, that it's a lot harder and more time consuming to do. So if you really like it, I don't know how many they're making. You know, with the vanishing points, they make like whatever the number is that it's engraved with. This doesn't have a number. So I don't know how many they're making, but I know it's going to be limited. So you're not going to be able to get them for too long. So yeah, they'll be around for probably a little bit, but we didn't get a ton of them. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how they do. And y'all let us know what you think. And then I have one more pen. No, two more pens. I have two more pens to show you. One is the Invincia Monteverde Invincia Deluxe Twilight Ombre. This is an exclusive, a Goulet exclusive that we have, which is kind of our brand colors. So maybe it won't totally shock you if you're like, oh, wow, Goulet did a blue and purple pen. No way. They've never done that before. Yes, we have. I'm joking, obviously. Let's see here. What do we have under here? We've got a couple of ink cartridges, a blue and a black one. That's fun. And then a little booklet in there, which it looks like it's in there pretty good. So I don't want to get it out because I don't want to put it back in. Anyway, decent packaging here, right? Nice little sleeve. And then here's the pen. Nice ombre color. So it's got like a purple to blue to like a turquoise, which is nice. Rhodium trim, Yovo nibs, number 6. Nice feeds on here. They do the plasma treated feeds, however, whatever magic they use to make that. The feeds, they flow great. Ever since they did the plasma treated feeds like earlier in 2025, the flow has been awesome on these pens. All the Conklin and Monteverdes have really stepped up their game a lot. Let's see here. These are $88, extra fine through stub plus OmniFlex, standard international cartridge converter, comes with a converter installed, and yeah, GPC exclusive. So check that out while you can. And then I got one more pen for you, which I'm excited about. This is a Conklin Spectra Fusion. This is a limited edition. They are making 1898 of them. They like to do that because that's when Conklin was founded. Apparently I have number 8. So that's fun. Box, similar setup to the Monteverde, right? Which makes sense. They're both Jaffa distributed. Similar parent company there. Nice Conklin box inside of here. The reason I'm excited about this pen is because back in the day, I used to make pens like this. I have never seen a commercially made wood and resin pen. I'm not going to say it hasn't been done, but I've only seen it done by like independent pen makers and, you know, craftspeople. Never seen it available from a company like this. So that is pretty cool. And I got to say, it's hard to do. Like, this material is hard to do because basically you have to get the wood that has these like voids in it. So you have to get these like very specific pieces of wood, and then you have to cast them into resin. So you take the resin, you dye the resin, you put this like pearlescent kind of powder in here, and then you have to like put it into a mold individually. You have to put each one of these things into a mold, and then you have to like swirl, put a specific swirl pattern in there while the resin sets up. But you can't just let it set up like normal. You have to, because as the resin is curing, it's heating up and it's going to have air bubbles. So not only that, but you need to get it to bond to the wood really well. So what you have to do is you actually have to suck it with a vacuum to get any air out of the wood that you can, to get air bubbles out. Otherwise you'll have weird looking bubbles and it won't bond properly to the wood. And then you have to pressurize it to get the resin like really into the wood. It's a multi-step process, and I can't imagine they did this in huge batches, just because, there's 1898 pens, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not like you can do like a mass production kind of a thing. I guess that is a lot of pens, but a lot more than I was making back in the day. But still, the basic concept is the same. So it's a multi-step process just to make this material. It's very cool. And it's like a nice figured wood too. I don't know exactly what kind of wood this is, but it looks like some kind of like figured maple, like a maple burl, because you can see the grain is all crazy looking and all figured and stuff. It looks beautiful. I am really in love with this because I think it just looks amazing, and you really can't get a wood and resin pen. And for the price too, it's pretty affordable. $132 for this pen. I mean, good night. Back in the day when I was making pens, I couldn't make a regular pen and sell it for $132. Like a roller ball, let alone a fountain pen, let alone one that's like this cast resin. We used to call this worthless wood, because you would basically take wood scraps that you would otherwise throw away, cast it into resin, and then you've got your wood. It's got an engraving right up here as well with the number on it. It's kind of hard to see in the wood, but it's there. I went with Omniflex for my nib, because I don't have as many Omniflex nibs, and I thought this would be a good one. Pen can post. Got a nice matte finish to it. And I like that the grip is resin as well, because, I don't know, it feels good. Especially the matte finish on it feels really good. Honestly, given the size of the pen, it actually doesn't feel all that heavy in my hand. Not big hands. I like heavy pens. But even posted like that, I think because it's mostly resin, and the wood itself is not super duper heavy either, because there's not a lot of metal in this pen, so it's actually a very, very reasonable weight. So that's nice. Anyway, the pen looks gorgeous. There's this version. This is the blue one. There's also a white one, which looks pretty nice too. It's a white resin instead of the blue. I don't know why you would get that, because blue is better, but that's just me. I'm allowed to have an opinion. I'm kidding. They both look good, but the blue one is definitely better. Okay, there you go. That is the Spectra Fusion. I'm super pumped about that. I hope they do more of these in more colors, because I think it looks amazing. I would love to see like a deeper Goulet blue. Let's do it. All right. Anyway, you can get those now. All these things that I mentioned here. I got a couple of inks to talk about too. So one is Noodler's Chucky Berry. This is a very limited ink, only 288 bottles made, which is basically like one batch. So we've got it for $17. It's a like berry magenta color, so kind of a hot pink red sort of a thing. Looks pretty cool. Special edition. Once it's gone, it's gone. So I'm going to stop talking about it, because it will be gone soon, maybe by the time this publishes. And then I have two inks from Endless Alchemy. They're kind of like Colorverse is done, where they have like different shimmers on the same ink base. That's what Endless Alchemy has done here. So they have the Obsidian ink, which is a black ink, and they've done Obsidian Moon and Obsidian Sun. So what they've done, Obsidian Moon, is they did a silver shimmer with a black base, and then Obsidian Sun is a gold shimmer with a black base. Very clever. I see what you did there. Looking pretty cool. Looks like a pretty healthy amount of shimmer in there too. So if you like your inks to shimmer and shine, but you want a dark ink, but you don't want it to be dark because you want it to be shimmery, well, then this is the ink for you. Either one or both of them. They're $26.50 for 45 ml bottle. And the bottles are kind of crazy looking, and they tilt, and it looks like you're going to knock it over, but you aren't, because they give you this coaster cork thing. It's pretty weird, but it's very cool and unique. So if you don't have a bottle of endless ink, it's pretty crazy looking. So yeah, that's it for new stuff. So let me know what you think of this kind of like showcase format. I feel like it could be its own standalone thing. We used to do these like, new stuff kind of features as their own videos. Certainly could go back to that, but I like doing the unboxing and kind of showing you everything. Maybe even writing with it every now and then, but I'm not going to write with any of these right now because I got to move on to some company updates. All right, company updates for Goulet pens. First off, we celebrated our 16th anniversary this week. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Sweet 16. We didn't do a big blowout or anything because it's like right before Thanksgiving. It's always right. It's like right after Fountain Pen Day and right before Thanksgiving. Like we should have timed this better when we started our company. No, I was making pens for years, but then the anniversary, November 17th, 2009, that's when we received our first shipment of fountain pen related products. It was a shipment of Rhodia, Clairefontaine, Jacques Herbin, a couple other brands that were all paper. And we started selling fountain pen ink and paper. So we received the shipment in. We had been at a trade show all day trying to sell my pens. We did sort of okay, but not great. And it was like, man, we're just going to have to keep hustling the pen thing, I guess. And then we got our first shipment in, and then we got it in, listed it. I think we got a couple orders that night. And it was like, oh my gosh, look at this. And the rest is history. So that's pretty cool. Been getting nostalgic and sharing pictures with my team, of the days of yore. And it's pretty wild because Joseph was born a couple of months after. He's going to be 16 in January, my son. And teaching him how to drive right now. And it's pretty wild to be like, wow. I look at pictures of back when the company was much younger and I'm like, oh yeah, there's like pictures of Rachel pregnant with Joseph. And, there's Joseph as a baby and there's Joseph as a toddler pulling ink samples out and mixing them all up and putting them in different places on the shelf and all these things. It really does make me realize how much time has gone by. It's pretty wild. But that was pretty fun going down memory lane like that. So yeah, thank you for your well wishes. Not that I'm expecting well wishes. I anticipate them, I guess. I don't know, whatever. It's cool. We're having a good time. And here we are, 16 years. It's unbelievable, but so grateful. So grateful to still be doing this after this long. Also, got to mention that next week is going to be Thanksgiving here in the United States where we reside, all of us here in Goulet Pens. We all reside here. But we're going to be closed for Thanksgiving. And while technically we'll be open when I could be recording a Q&A, I'm not going to because it's Thanksgiving and I'll be making time for some family. So yeah, I'll be taking off next week. And we will have some sales though. I don't have specifics to share with you, but we're going to do them for a whole week. So it's not like you have to like get everything hyper planned and be there within a couple of hours. We're trying to make it low stress, right? Also, we're trying to not get as behind as we did for Fountain Pen Day. Now that we were a little bit behind for Fountain Pen Day because Fountain Pen Day was, the whole weekend was successful and we were grateful. But we had a limited team and it took us a little while to catch up. So we're trying to spread it out just a little bit. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever it's called now is going to be Monday before Thanksgiving. So in a couple days after this video publishes through the following Monday. So it'll be a whole week and I'll be there. We'll have some deals and some stuff that should be kind of interesting and fun. So you can check that out. And then I'll be gone, but we'll be coming back after that. And then I have one video that we published this week, the Orange Ink Showdown. This is number 14 of these ink showdowns that we've done. We just keep them coming. They're fun to do. I really like doing them. And this one has a scatter plot in it. So, that right there, if that doesn't get your motor cranking, I don't know what will. All right, let's get into the question, shall we? All right, question number 1. This is from Zeiz Tech 1150. Hope I said that right. Thanks for another great episode, Brian. I have a question about the Lord of the Rings pen from Ferris Wheel Press. Is it possible to remove the nib from the feed? The pen comes with a sparkling ink, so I would want to be able to get in there and remove any glitter if needed. It's a great question. Currently, I'm out of stock of all of them. And I did not keep one because I didn't want to withhold anyone's pleasure who's a true Lord of the Rings fan when I myself am a bit of an ignoramus. But I do have another pen that is similar to it. This is the Ferris Wheel Press Bijou. We don't normally carry this pen, but we do carry it in the Lord of the Rings version. So in the Lord of the Rings version, it's a little nicer, and it's got the ring instead of this like hexagonal center band thing. But the pen itself is going to be similar. But basically, I just wanted to show you because it's just a friction fit nib and feed. You can just take, what I like to do is put my, what finger is this? Pointer finger. And I kind of nests the nib into the, whatever that is, the crust, what do you call that thing? Whatever oh my gosh. Not hinge. What? I'm completely blanking on the word. Whatever the nook is there. Gosh, man, my brain's not working. I nestle it in there, and then I take my thumb and I pinch it against it with the feed, and then I'll kind of like pull apart this, and I'll rock it back and forth just a little bit. Now, I did pull this out just a bit before this video. It took a little bit of force to get it out, but you just kind of inch it out there a little bit at a time. You don't want to yank the whole thing. You don't want to take your finger. I don't like pulling this way because it's less controlled. If you pull it this way and then you sort of like push your fingers off each other, it gives you more control. But anyway, the end result should be you pull it out like this. And then that gives you your nib and your feed. You can scrub it up dub, take care of that, get all your shimmer out of there. And then when you go to put it back in, the thing you have to be mindful of is it is a keyed fitting in here. So what that means is it's sort of like got a kind of a keyhole. Think of like a keyhole and how it has a specific shape, and so it has to go in a certain way. So the nib and the feed itself, you kind of pair them up, and then you have to fit it. Like there's a flat part on the underside of the feed that has to go on the flat part here. See if I can get the glare right. Boom. So when you can get it aligned, it should go in fairly naturally. You really shouldn't have to force it. It should nest in there pretty naturally. And then when it does, you can really just kind of push it right in. And then you just have to maybe align your nib and your feed a bit, like so. But because it's a keyed fitting in there, it really kind of only goes in one way. And then it has like a defined stopping point. So I'm not going to say you can't screw it out, because it never ceases to amaze me how some people can get themselves into a bind. But they make it pretty easy to be able to do that. Now, I don't know what their official stance is on taking pens apart and stuff like that. Some manufacturers really don't want you to do that kind of a thing. I don't think they really say much about it. But it's pretty low risk. It's a steel nib, it's really up to you. But that is the process of how you would do that. Just imagine there's more Lord of the Rings stuff on the pen, and that's what your pen experience will be like. So there you go. There's the Bijou, removing the nib and feed. There's a lot of pens that's essentially the process for how you remove a nib and feed. So when in doubt, try that, and you should be in good shape. Okay, next question we have here. This is from Dave Gallagher, 1109. It says, hey, Brian, what's the best practice for getting a full fill in a Homo Sapiens Bronze Age? Visconti. Since we cannot see through the barrel, how do I know that I have a full fill? Are there any products to help with this, i.e. the Visconti Traveling Inkwell? And is that the only option? Thank you. Yeah, that is the tool. That is the tool you want to use. There's two options, really, that I've found to be best. You have Visconti Traveling Inkwell, and then you have the Peniter pen filler. Similar concept on both of them. I'm going to demonstrate it using the Traveling Inkwell because it's Visconti, and I feel like I should use their branded thing. But the idea is similar on here. Now, what this is nothing magical. It is a tube that you can put ink in it, and it has a rubber conical shape right here, so that it's meant to be able to press a pen into it. You can see down there. It's meant so you can press a pen into it. It creates like kind of a seal where that rubber is, and then you can flip it upside down and fill your pen with it, and it gets you filled all the way. Now, I'm going to demonstrate it using a non-Homo Sapiens Bronze Age because if I demonstrated it with the Bronze Age, you wouldn't be able to tell what I was doing or not, or if it was successful, because that's kind of the nature of your question. So I have with me, this is technically a double reservoir power filler, but the concept works exactly the same. I just chose this one. This is the Homo Sapiens limited edition Florentine Hills from back in the day. And I chose this one because it just so happens that it's like almost completely clear on this section of it. So it does a really good job of demonstrating. So the way that it works basically for both of these is you take the pen, you press it in. You know, with the Homo Sapiens, it's nice because it basically goes all the way up to the ring. You could open the valve and you could do all this before you actually insert it into there, but it doesn't really matter either way. So I have not ink, but I have some colored water so that you can still kind of see what's actually going on. You want to hold both the pen and the inkwell, which is going to be a little difficult for me because I'm still trying to also show you what's going on. You're going to press it. I'm going to see if I can hold it right here in the center. Okay. You're going to press it down. So I'm creating my vacuum and you can see the air is coming up through the nib, like little air bubbles there. But then as soon as I press here, it's going to drop off and it's going to fill the pen. Boom. Okay. Didn't fill the pen all the way, but you do that a couple of times and it's going to keep filling more and more until it's literally completely full, and it might have a couple of air bubbles, tiny little air bubbles in there. Okay, well, there's a little bit there. If I keep going, it'll keep doing it. But basically, maybe I need to have it like perfectly straight up and down. I think that's part of it. I was trying to like keep it at an angle so I could show you guys. But if I have it straight up and down, then there you go. It's like there's no air. Okay, tiny little bit, but still. But yeah, there you go. So that is about as full as you can get a Homo Sapiens, right? So the concept would be exactly the same with the Bronze Age one. You just wouldn't be able to see what's going on. But you saw there, it took like a good 3, 4, 5 pumps to get it filled up. If you have it perfectly straight up and down, it works better. I was trying to demonstrate, so that's why I didn't. But you have it perfect straight up and down, pump it a few times, that gets it full. That is honestly the best way to do it. And the Homo Sapiens, I love the pen, but it's kind of a pain to clean it out. So it's not a pen that you necessarily want to be changing ink colors all the time. So I think it's a great pairing to have the Traveling Inkwell or the pen filler with this pen so that you can sort of dedicate an ink to it. Every time you need to fill it, you know you're getting a full filling, you're maxing it out. And then you can just spend all your time writing with your beautiful pen. So I think it's a great tool. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but it does one thing and it does it really well. Not to mention you can carry it with you. And they make it this shape too so that you can put it into like a pen case, right? So you can, my little ring sliding around in there. That ring is kind of annoying there. It's not like fixed. Okay. I don't know if they're all like that or that's just mine. Okay. There we go. But yeah, you can put this in a pen case. I don't have one readily available. I mean, I have a bunch back there, but you get the idea. So it's about pen shaped, so you can put it in a pen case and carry it around. Makes it very, very convenient. The Peniter one is a little bit wider, so you can still fit it in a pen case if it's got like a generous amount of space in there. But that is how you do it. Now, can you do it another way? Not really. I haven't found a tool that works better than either of these. So that's pretty much how it's done. Now, if you're filling it just regular, just in a bottle of ink, you're going to get it like 2/3 full. So you still get a pretty good filling, but it's kind of a meaningful difference using one of these tools. And then you can get the absolute most out of your Homo Sapiens and enjoy life. All right. J.A. Schwalter says, dropping off my son at school, Michigan Tech. I saw a notebook with paper made from recycled stone at the campus mineral museum. Great for fountain pen ink, but I'm wondering how nibs will hold up with ongoing use. Have you ever tried this type of paper? Yes, I have. I believe it's usually called stone paper. And it's not good for fountain pens. based on my experience. It feels kind of cool. It almost feels soft, kind of like micro mesh does, but that's because it's kind of doing what micro mesh is doing. It is like stone dust on essentially plastic paper, and it's basically acting like an abrasive for your nib. So it does feel kind of cool, but you're going to be like sort of prematurely, that's the word I'm looking for. You're going to be prematurely wearing your nib if you're writing on this paper with a fountain pen nib. So it's not great. Now, if you're using it with a roller ball or a ballpoint, it works even better because, you're going to have a little bit of grab because of that kind of abrasive nature of it. You're going to have a little bit of grab, and it's going to help the friction, like it's going to help the ball to move even smoother. So it is really nice paper to write on. Not the cheapest stuff in the world, but for fountain pens, it's just not ideal. I mean, if you have a nib that you don't really care about as much, and you just like the way that paper feels and you just want to use it, by all means, go for it. But, it's not like it's going to wear it down after like an hour, but write with it for a few weeks or a couple months. You're gonna get a pretty good flat spot on that nib. So not the most advised thing for fountain pen use, but it is cool paper. It's kind of neat how they make it. I want so badly to like be able to show it. I need to get some. I had some that I'd used kind of extensively, and I don't know where I put it. So anyway, I do have experience with it, but I cannot find any of it around my office to be able to show y'all what it is. But that's all I got for you on that question this week. So yeah, it's cool, but I would use it very sparingly on nibs that you don't care about so much. All right, last question I have for this week. This is from Sister Golden Hair 0727. Brian, I wonder why you have such limited nib sizes. I end up having to buy a lot of pens from other sites because you only carry fine, medium, and broad for many pens that have stubs and specialty nibs from Esterbrook and the specialty nibs from Esterbrook. We try to carry the specialty nibs from Esterbrook. I don't know which ones that we're not carrying. There may be certain pen models that we don't have. I'm curious more about that because we try to carry most of those. But you know what it may be? It may be that there were some that, no, I'm trying to think. I don't know what it is about the Esterbrook ones. I'll have to look into that. But basically, it's just for us to try to manage our inventory. We want to carry the products that you guys want to buy. So it used to be like blanket everything. We would carry every nib size of everything. And then we found that there's a lot of nib sizes that people don't buy. Or at least not very much. And I know it's like, it's one of those things like you want to have every single option, but at the same time it's like, you add that up across so many different pens and it really ends up being a meaningful amount of stuff that's just kind of sitting there on the shelf. So what we do is we try to gauge it off of like what's popular, pretty much we carry the most popular stuff. If there's like certain models and certain things that we know are going to sell, kind of better, and be more interesting to most folks, then we will carry a more extensive range of nib sizes for those things. But if it's a very specific color or limited edition or something like that, we may or may not carry the full extensive range. Usually we'll try to carry specialty nibs, and we'll usually try to carry extra fines and stuff like that when we can. It's really the broads, and sometimes the stubs we usually try to carry too. So I'm curious which ones that you're actually referring to. Maybe it's just the Esterbrooks that you're talking about, and there's certain ones that maybe we haven't stocked as well. But yeah, there are sometimes restrictions. Most of the time it's because broads, I mean, the nib breakdown in terms of what's popular does shift and change a little bit, and it does vary a bit from pen to pen. But generally speaking, your fines and your mediums and extra fines are going to be like 80% of which nib sizes everybody wants. And then it's like 13% stubs or something like that, 10% stub, 13% stub. And then broads are like 4%. Like it's not even close. People just don't really get broad nibs, which is crazy because I love broad nibs, but I'm weird and I'm in the minority there. It's because of how much ink it puts down on the paper. Like most people, if you're using just typical office paper, a broad is going to be like gushing. And if you like to use dot grid or like a college rule paper, a broad is going to be just it's going to be a bit fat. for writing on those. So I get it, but it does mean that like certain pens that like, if we're going to carry it, we might limit the broad unless we think that it's going to be particularly desirable for some reason, or if we think that it would be one that like people would get ground, to a architect or a whatever, something like that. But bottom line is we want to carry what you guys want us to carry. So we're always going to look into more things that we are getting asked about. So really, if you want us to carry more, like that's why I'm curious, maybe what you could do, Sister Golden Hair, reach out to our team, our customer care team, and just be like, Brian answered this question. He said to reach out, I'm giving you my feedback. So if we're getting feedback about certain nibs that we, people want to see offered, we're going to want to carry those. Like we're going to offer those. It's just hard when we carry something and then it doesn't sell like at all for a long time. Why do we keep offering it? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, you can always ask us about it. You can leave comments whenever it's on social, if you post a picture on Instagram or if you, whatever, if I'm talking about Q&A, leave comments and be like, where's the broad nib? Where's the this nib? I would love to see this, then we can get it. Yeah, that's what I got. The thing I can also say, I don't know if this is a factor as well. Certain brands, I'm thinking of like Blommy, for example, their nibs are swappable. I don't know who you're comparing our offering to, but it is feasible to swap a nib and to be able to offer a nib on a pen that doesn't come on the pen. We used to do that back in the day, like way back in the day, like a decade ago. We stopped doing it because we ended up with literally hundreds of Lamy medium nibs, because that's what a lot of the pens would come with, and people wanted stubs. It was mostly stubs, sometimes broads, but stubs wouldn't come on most pens, and people wanted stubs. So we would offer the pen with a stub, but then we'd have to take off the nib that it's on, and we'd end up with extra nibs. So there's certain things like that where, another retailer could be swapping a nib or offering something that's not typically offered from the manufacturer. And, it's just not something that we're doing, but it's something that they're doing. I don't know. So you can always ask us, reach out to our team. You can email info@Goulet Pens. You can reach out to customer care, check the website, contact form, lots of different ways, or just leave a comment somewhere. And we'll try to get back to you on that. So there you go. That is that. Not doing a spotlight because I spent so much time showing all the new stuff. But let's do Brian's Adventures. We'll do what's back there, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, Brian's Adventures. I haven't been very adventurous. Still working on Joseph with the driving lessons, doing lots of parking, lots of backing up, lots of hopping curbs and things like that as he's learning. He's a great kid. He's definitely getting the hang of things, but we are taking it slow, very methodical, which is how he likes to do things. And I'm going through the Virginia provided book, and I'm just like, I just want to get on the road and be like, let's just drive. I'll teach you as you go. I've taught him all the basics and stuff, but literally he's like, he wants to practice like parking against a curb on the right side over and over again. And let's look at the reference points and all these kinds of things. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, the patience that it requires. But anyway, he's a great kid. We're having a good time. And I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm only going to do this with him once. And then he's going to be driving, and then he's like just going to grow up and be an adult, and then he's gone. It's going to be there before I know it. So I need to not be impatient. I need to just enjoy and appreciate this experience for what it is with my son. And, yeah, that's the attitude I'm going to have about it. So, yeah, it's fun. We're making it happen. Let's see here. What else am I doing? I've been, I think I might've mentioned this before. I've been intermittent fasting more. By no means do I promote or whatever, any specific diet or food thing. I've tried friggin' everything under the sun, at various stages, and most things don't work for most people. You got to find what works for you. But I did get some comments on some recent videos about my weight loss. So at this point, I've lost about 25 pounds, in the last couple of months, which has worked out really well. So I'm basically not eating breakfast or lunch, and I eat at dinner. So, it's been not as hard as I would have thought. I miss eating during the day, but it also saves me a lot of time. I literally don't have to schedule lunch at work. I just get to keep going. So, and then I just have a really good dinner and dessert. Like I basically, if I don't eat the rest of the day, I can not have to be as concerned. I just got to make sure I get like all the nutrients and vegetables and stuff like that. But, I'm talking with my doctor. I'm doing all the stuff. I'm doing all the things you're supposed to do. But yeah, it has actually, I've been trying to lose weight for years at this point. Since COVID, I put on like 30 pounds when COVID happened. Not immediately, but part of it was just stress, a lot of stress, as you can imagine, with kids and a business during COVID. And things have remained stressful ever since COVID hit. But yeah, this has been the first time I've actually been able to like meaningfully lose and keep off any weight, even for 2 months. So, you may see me balloon back up. If you watch my videos over the years, you're going to see me just like, going like this because I've gained weight, I've lost weight. My hair's gotten longer, there's more gel, there's more grays now. But anyway, so yeah, I'm doing that. I'm exercising regularly with cardio and stuff like that. And it's kind of working. So it's hard, but it's at the same time, it's like, I've done so many hard things trying to get it to work and then none of it's felt sustainable. I'm like, this could be kind of sustainable. I don't know. We'll see. So that's a thing. And had a visitor last week. We had Charlie Stockbridge from Tom Hessen visit us and got an opportunity to make some pen stands. So whenever we have a visitor, I usually try to make them a pen stand. I haven't shown one in a while. So yeah, here's my little pen stand. So this is made out of walnut, black walnut. This is a tree that fell locally here in Richmond, Virginia, where we live. And so I got a buddy of mine who does these like giant slabs, like 3-inch thick slabs, cuts them for like, big, dining tables and stuff like that, conference tables and all that. And sometimes people want the natural edge and sometimes people don't. So sometimes he'll actually slice the edges off and you get these nice, like 4 to 6 inch pieces of edge, which are like just the right thickness for some pen stands. So I really like making these. So it's like a solid block. And, I just drill some holes in it, route out the edges a little bit, do a little round over, sand it down, and it looks pretty cool. So I like doing these. I do not sell these. Rachel made me swear when I set a workshop back up that I was not going to start another business. So I just make these as gifts for like family members and visitors that we have come at Goulet Pens. So I just want to show that because I thought it was kind of fun. And it was nice to get out in the workshp, get a little sawdust under my fingernails. So that's been my adventures recently. Doing stuff with my kids, doing lots of dishes, going to the dump, just boring middle-aged dad stuff, raking leaves, all that kind of stuff. But, my projects are a little less epic these days, but that's because I'm doing the family thing a lot. So that's it. That's it for my adventures right now. And then we'll have a bunch of family, that we'll be spending time with for Thanksgiving. So that'll be an adventure. So I'll talk about that next time. What's back there? Let's talk about something. So this is something I've talked about before, and you've seen it in videos of old, and you actually can't really see it much. It's right up here. So I probably need to like move these shelves down or something, because there's all this cool stuff up here that you can't really see in most of my videos, but let me grab it off the shelf. So for those of you who've seen my videos for a long time, you will recognize what this is. This is called an ooze tube, not to be confused with the squeezy tube sour candy from the 90s or whatever. But this, it's basically like an hourglass timer type of thing, except it's goopy. I've had this thing. I was trying to think about when I actually got this thing. It was definitely before my kids were born. It was definitely before we started this company. I think it was before I met Rachel, actually. So it was either middle or high school, I think I got this thing. I don't 100% remember where or when I got it, but I think it's something that I got at the Virginia Science Museum in the gift shop. If it wasn't there, it was some kind of gift shop type place. You know what I mean? How they have like interesting like science toys and stuff like that. I I don't have a 100% firm memory that that's where I got it, but I think that's the most likely place I probably got it. So maybe I'll just like say that that's my memory. It's like, it doesn't actually matter. But it seems the most plausible thing. So yeah, just like, I love this thing because I think this timer goes for 5 minutes, maybe. It takes about 5 minutes for the goop to get down. It's not completely firm because, the goop is running, how do you know when it's really end? It's not like a hourglass, like a sand hourglass. You can exactly tell when it's done. But it's cool because like, as the stuff runs down, the goop kind of like spreads into itself. And then every now and then there's this bubble that forms up here, and the bubble kind of comes up and then it pops and then it makes this cool ring at the top. I've watched this thing, I don't know how many thousands of times over the years. It used to be a much brighter green, but I mean, literally this thing at this point is probably 30 years old. So I think like the sun has like changed the color on this thing. It's so crazy because I literally couldn't remember what this thing was called or where I got it for so long. And I talked about this a lot in my early videos. In fact, it may have been on a Q&A, version 1 years ago. And then I was just like, wait a minute, the internet exists now. I can just Google this thing. And I Googled it and it took me like 30 seconds to find this thing. So I actually bought another one, a bigger one. My memory serves me, this is the color that it originally was, this kind of lighter green. Now it just looks kind of gross how much this one has turned into this like Mountain Dew color or whatever. But this one's a bigger one. This one's, I think, a 15-minute timer. And yeah, there's not really much significance other than it's just been a part of my life for so long. And I used to have it in the background at a lot of my earlier videos, and I would flip it upside down just to see if anybody would notice that there was something happening back there. Most people didn't notice, but every now and then somebody would be like, hey, you forgot to flip the timer or something like that. So it's fun. But now I have it up like way up there and you can't really see it. So maybe I should move it to a more prominent place. Let me know what you think. It'd be kind of cool. Maybe the big one's a bit much, for this background. It's like as tall as my Gundam over there. But whatever. There it is. Ooze tube. You can buy them online. I don't remember how much. I want to say this was like $10 originally or something like that, but that also was probably a while ago. This one I think you can get for like $25, $30 now online. I don't even know who makes them because they're all like sketchy looking places you get them, like weird off-brand toy store online and like Amazon listings, and you're like, I've never heard of this company, but whatever. It's fun. I like it. And I've just had it as a part of my life for the majority of my life, which is crazy. So yeah, that's fun. Ooze tube. That's my thing back there. We'll wrap it up and then I got some fun Thanksgiving facts. Okay. So hang on for a minute. Just want to thank you for watching. You can check out everything I mentioned here today at gouletpens.com. And subscribe to all our stuff. We're going to keep pumping out cool videos on pen stuff. And I have a bunch of fun facts for you about Thanksgiving because that is happening next week. So let's do it. It's a big thing in America. It is American Thanksgiving. Canada, y'all are ahead of us. Y'all already had it in October. So maybe you're still full. I'm just kidding. So I just pulled a bunch of random facts. So here we go. An estimated 50 million pumpkin pies are eaten on Thanksgiving, according to the American Pie Council, which apparently exists. According to the American Pie Council, more Americans actually prefer apple pie overall. Pumpkin pie is second place, but not on Thanksgiving. Most Americans like Thanksgiving leftovers more than the actual meal. So if you're fans of the almighty turkey stuffing and mashed potato leftover sandwich, and I would say put some cranberry sauce on there too, if you really want to step it up, and gravy, do the whole thing. Anyway, if you like that sandwich, you're in the majority. Almost 8 in 10 Americans agree that the second helping of stuffing mashed potatoes in the pie beat out the big dinner itself, according to a 2015 Harris poll. That's an old poll at this point, but I imagine it hasn't changed much. According to the National Turkey Federation, Apparently, these are all organizations. I don't know. According to the National Turkey Federation, between 45 and 46 million turkeys are consumed each year on Thanksgiving. I think I read somewhere there was like a 70 million, whatever. It's just tens of millions, dozens of millions of turkeys sacrificed themselves for the greater cause on Thanksgiving, which is pretty wild. It's a lot of turkeys. And then every Thanksgiving, the Butterball Turkey Hotline, which is a phone number that you can call if you're trying to cook your turkey and get in trouble. The Butterball Turkey Hotline every year receives roughly 100,000 phone calls. I don't even know how they staff for that. I'm thinking like what kind of a nightmare that must be. And I'm also like, can't you just Google it? Like, do you need to call? But I guess maybe it's just like nice to talk to somebody when you're in a tense situation like that. It's kind of crazy. And then I got two more for you. Thanksgiving was declared a national celebration by George Washington in 1789. That's how far back it goes. Like as far as, I mean, obviously it goes back to like 1621 or whatever the first Thanksgiving was. But in terms of like a national holiday, we had to have a nation first. But 1789, November 26th, that was the first National Day of Thanksgiving is what he called it. And then I know there's more of story of terms of like which day, the Thursday, it's always the fourth Thursday of November. It had moved at one point in like the late 30s, early 40s, and then that changed back, but it's been that way for a long time now. And then last fun fact is that Black Friday is the busiest day of the year for plumbers. Thanks to all the food that we gobble up on Thanksgiving and household guests stressing out the plumbing system. Roto-Rooter reports that kitchen drains, garbage disposals, and yes, toilets require more attention the day after Thanksgiving than any other day of the year. You might want to remind yourself or remind your well-meaning kitchen helpers not to stuff food down the drain. Save yourself from an expensive plumbing bill. So there you go. And then this other random fact. I read that like the average Thanksgiving meal is like between 3,000 and 3,500 calories or something. It's like an obscene amount of food people eat, which I will also be participating in because we go kind of all out for Thanksgiving. It'd be a good time. Anyway, that's all I got for this week. Surprisingly brief Q&A, just over an hour. But anyway, it's because y'all got some cooking to do. Go pick up your turkeys if you haven't already. I hope you have a wonderful next couple of weeks. Enjoy your holiday if you're celebrating it. And I will see you then. Thanks for watching and right on.